Hi, I'm Max Keiser. This is the Keiser Report. So how about it, punk? Do you feel lucky? Stacey Herbert.
Max, are you seeing me? Or are you seeing a hologram?
I see, what do I see? Tell me more.
Well, Max, I want to turn to this little clip of a performance given, only in the last week.
What up, Trey? Chillin'. What's up, Buck? What up, Snoop? What's up, man?
Yes, who you see there, that's Tupac Shakur.
I thought Tupac was dead.
I believe he was gunned down, but thanks to James Cameron's modern technology, there's Tupac Shakur performing again.
Well, this is fantastic. We've got zombie banks. Now we've got zombie performers.
You know, apparently the decision to do this was Dr. Dre's. And Dr. Dre has created this hologram as an artist previously known as Tupac Shakur. And I thought, well, you know, this is a good metaphor for Dr. Ben Bernanke's hologram of the global economy and the global reserve currency of the dollar.
Oh, it absolutely is. You've got Dr. Ben Bernanke creating a hologram of liquidity to mask insolvency. Here's Tupac Shakur with a hologram of animation to mask his death. Both are milking the system unconscionably. Tupac is milking the outdated copyright system, creating a digital rights ghetto. And then you've got Ben Bernanke, who's creating a fiat money ghetto, swirling about with trillions of holographic digital, imprisoning fiat-like currency whip.
And it is, of course, Ben Bernanke's money printing that allows for a kind of hologram of our economy. There is no economy there. But the problem with holograms, of course, is they can suddenly be turned off. They could be hacked. They could be just disintegrate into static.
Well, this is what happens over at the European Central Bank. Every couple of weeks, they realize that the hologram is about to be turned off, so they jack in another €1 trillion. Same thing in the Fed, same thing in the Bank of England, same thing with central banks all over the world. They're trying to conjoin their holograms to create a global holographic central bank system to create the illusion of liquidity to mask insolvency. But it's wearing thin at the margins. The digits are not holding together. The little photons of illusion that we are supposed to believe represents economic activity. Meanwhile, wages are crashing, jobs are disappearing, austerity's kicking in, people are dying. But that's not in the holographic recipe book of the central bankers, so they choose to ignore it.
Of course not. It's like the Matrix, right? Where the hologram of your life, you think you're eating fantastic steak. And well, you know what? Ben Bernanke's statistical numbers, they show that you're eating fantastic gourmet steak. Instead, you're eating pink slime.
Well, exactly right. Joey Pantoliano of the Matrix. Remember, he's holding up that big fork full of steak, and he goes, I know this steak is not real, but it tastes so good. And he sold out his friends in the Matrix, and they were consigned to live forever in the ghetto of using their bodies as batteries. Same thing with the illusion of money. We know it's not real, but it pays the bills for now until the prison warden shows up and puts us all into the gulag.
Exactly. Well, you know, there's a similar thing going on here in the US. You're seeing people starting to see the little deja vu moments, the little static in the Matrix and the hologram is falling apart.
The cat walking backwards.
Yeah, exactly. US editor of The Economist, paper dollar and paper euro will debase in a big way. So this is Matthew Bishop, the US editor of The Economist, and he was interviewed by the Wall Street Journal about gold and why people have lost faith in the 20th century religion of government-backed fiat money. So we're going to turn to a clip here. By the way, the Wall Street Journal introduced the concept of gold as being somehow antiquated or old-fashioned.
Gold does seem to, in a way, harken back to another age, doesn't it? But right. I think the reason it's come back into fashion over the last 10 years, as we write in Gold We Trust, is that people, I think, have lost faith in the 20th century religion of government-backed fiat money, and they're saying, actually, at the moment, we don't really trust governments with our money. You look what's happening with the euro, you look at the dollar and how it's been, so much of it's been printed under QE and so forth, and they're saying, actually, we don't trust this anymore.
Yeah, well, it is a religion, isn't it? It's a religion of paper money. The Financial Times ascribes to this religion. The Economist, the Wall Street Journal, they all bow before the religion. Ben Bernanke, Paul Krugman of the New York Times, they all bow before the religion. The theocracy, the fanaticism of paper money, holographic economic reality. Meanwhile, the smart money, the people with actual wealth, the people who are self-made, like myself, are accumulating gold and silver, have been for 10 years. We can't wait for this thing to blow up. Just turn off the holographic paradigm now. It's because my gold will immediately be repriced at $5,000 an ounce. I'm going to buy, Stacy, a brand new shirt.
Hey, I already have one here. No, but you know, he says that he's become an agnostic or an atheist with regard to his belief in government-backed money, as he fears that governments are in a position where they are going to debase currencies in a big way. Now, The Economist magazine has been saying for years, basically ridiculing gold bugs. So you're starting to see, though, that there are just too many cats walking backwards in this hologram for them to, you know, we have this faith that the governments and central banks can somehow maintain this hologram and it's all going to be okay. But the insiders behind the hologram machine, they're starting to worry and buying gold.
He's no atheist. He's lying. He's a closet gold buyer who, for the purposes of maintaining his position as a propaganda meister, must now claim to be, oh, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in the religion of paper bugdom anymore. The paper buggery, which is destroying the global economy. But we know on the sly, he's buying gold and he's buying it in size.
And just to look at this paper fiat death that he talks about, the hologram always falls apart. Headline, CRB index back to 1749 to present, and this was from Barry Ritholtz's site, and it's the Jefferies Commodity Index. You see quite clearly there that inflation bottomed out in 1968, and then look at the inflation, the collapse of the dollar, essentially, since 1968, when Charles de Gaulle asked for the gold back.
Right, well, look, the dollar creation since 1968, since 1971, since the U.S. closed the gold window, there was always this quid pro quo. We'll increase the fiat currency, we'll increase the indebtedness of the country. There'll be some GDP growth as a result of it. And the net result will be a higher GDP growth than debt creation. And this has gone back and forth for decades. But in 2008, we hit the wall. There is no more growth from debt creation. They're now trying to desperately pump up the debt, the wall of debt, to create any kind of GDP growth. But it's not working. It hasn't worked for 4 or 5 years now. And now people are starting to realize, they're starting to say, well, maybe it's not a religion. I'm becoming agnostic. I become an atheist. That's one step to, I hate paper, I'm buying gold. Because they realize that they can't get any GDP. No matter how many transfusions they put in this corpse, this zombie, this Tupac Shakur holographic, digital, non-existent economy, it's not creating jobs. Therefore, it's not creating real savings. It's not creating real capital. You can't have capitalism without capital. And this isn't capital. It's just digital nonsense and electrons dancing on the head of a pin.
And, well, let's look at who else in the world, importantly, those who have the resources, are also looking at these people living inside the hologram, and they're pretty concerned about us hologram livers. Rousseff warns of tsunami of money. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff used her opening speech at the 6th Summit of Americas to reiterate her criticism of Western monetary policy, which she said was damaging Latin American industry. The summit, which was held last weekend in Cartagena, Colombia, brought together 33 heads of state from across the Americas, including the U.S. President Barack Obama. Dilma Rousseff reiterated her criticism of European and American monetary policy. She said, of course, we must take action to defend ourselves. To defend is different from to protect. It means not letting our manufacturing sector be cannibalized.
Right, she needs to defend their exports by not allowing the Federal Reserve in Washington to screw up with the global money supply. And Dilma Rousseff, when she was in the White House with Barack Obama, it looked as though she was about to go. They gave him a big old snap and say, look, stop it. Stop it. Like she was lecturing him, and Barack was like a little boy.
No. She was just doing this. She was holding up a piece of silver. You didn't hear it. You didn't see it closely.
Well, that would have really been garlic to the vampire.
So again, this hologram, we return to the hologram, Max. Lottery sectors beating AAA provide winning bet, Muni Credit. Want to win the Oregon or Florida lottery? Don't purchase tickets, buy their bonds instead. So here you have this gulag casino state where most people are inside the hologram where we're all having fun and mega millions are there for everybody, but the only ones getting rich are the ones holding the bonds, the one holding the gold, the silver, the real things.
Well, look, the subprime market was a lottery. Banks were dishing out mortgages like lottery tickets with a 1 in a million or 1 in 10 million actually making any kind of economic sense. They sold those subprime-backed bonds in the global markets and made a killing. Now they're removing all guise of there being any economic justification whatsoever, and they're just commodifying and selling lottery-backed bonds.
Well, again, there is the other crucial ingredient to this. One cannot live in a hologram unless one chooses to live in a hologram. With Tupac Shakur, over 50% of those questioned on Huffington Post said they would totally pay to go see him. Why not? It's just as real as the real Tupac Shakur to them. So these people who live in this hologram society, lots of people line up around the block to go buy a Mega Millions, even though they know they would be better off buying bonds backed by those Mega Million lottery tickets. But people choose to live the hologram.
Well, yes, they would pay to go see a virtual two-pack with their virtual money.
Exactly,
nobody would give a gold or silver ingot to go see a virtual two-pack. No, they're too smart for that.
So finally, Max, we live in this hologram here. America's prescription drug addiction suggests a sick nation. The growing taste for prescription opiates in the U.S. is a concern. What is it about our way of life that necessitates such relief? Now, I'm not even going to go into the numbers. We all know it's like quadrupled in terms of like Valium and various opiates. So, but what about our lives? It's so painful.
Well, it's fake consciousness to go along with the fake money and the fake Shakur. Yeah. So you have a 360-degree, full-spectrum nonsense. There's nothing real anywhere in that garden of deception that is the U.S. global economy, led by ringmaster and chief Ben Bernanke and other central bankers who spew fiat, digital, garbage.
And you know, after Dr. Ben Bernanke leaves the Federal Reserve, I think Dr. Dre would make a next nice Federal Reserve chairman.
That is so hip-hop-tastic. Stacey Herbert, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Thank you, Max.
Don't go away, much more coming away. Stay right there.